Philadelphia, you're watching 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Hope all of you had a phenomenal weekend. And if you're fired up on this Monday morning like Kyle Schwarber was against Angel Hernandez, yeah, you're feeling pretty good on this Monday morning with a little bit of fire, and we're bringing you the fire on today's show. Here's what we have cooking up. We'll get to the latest Joel Embiid injury update. People are going absolutely nuclear on Ben Simmons because you have to love to see it. Stephen A. Smith, Reggie Miller, a bunch of the national media just not holding any punches after Ben Simmons announced that he's not going to be playing in Game 4. What an absolute fraud. An important Raptor is out tonight for Game 5 as Philadelphia looks to punch their ticket to the second round of the NBA playoffs, up 3-1 in this series. Going to be a raucous atmosphere at the Wells Fargo Center. But if you love the Sixers, I want you to do me a favor. Show us that you love this basketball team, that you love the content that we're pushing out, multiple videos per week covering the latest Sixers news and rumors. Just hit that red subscribe button down below. We begin with Joel Embiid. So an MRI confirmed on Sunday that Embiid's sprained thumb does indeed have a ligament tear. He's going to need surgery, but the good news for him, as well as the Sixers basketball team, he is not going to undergo surgery until after the Sixers playoff run is over. How long are they going to be alive in the big dance? Their chances can go a long way in extending their playoff run in terms of its length with the win tonight against Toronto in South Philadelphia. You lose this game, pressure gets ratcheted up going back to Toronto for Game 6 of this series. You have to avoid that at all costs. Now, on Saturday, in Game 4, when the Sixers were looking to pull off that sweep, Embiid in that first half wasn't good. He looked uncomfortable. He was turning the basketball over a lot. When he got double-teamed, he looked a little bit flustered. Now, he ended the day with a pretty solid performance, 21 points and 8 rebounds, but it's a little bit of a concern as we progress throughout the playoffs and in this series. How does the thumb injury affect Embiid? Now, he suffered it in the first quarter of Game 3. We know how that second half ended. He scored like 18 third-quarter points, I think 28 points after recess, hit that game winner in overtime. But Embiid's injury status moving forward, something that we're going to have to continue to monitor because it only takes a simple swipe at the hand for him to be in even more pain. As for what Embiid had to say about that thumb injury after Saturday's game, look, Philadelphia, Embiid, this entire team didn't really play with any sense of urgency. That's why they lost that game, not because of Embiid's injury, but he did say this about that thumb ailment. I would say it was more, when it comes to rebounding at the free throw line and also passing, that's really when I feel the pain. I don't know how to explain it, but it's whatever. The bigger story is that we lost the game. We weren't able to close it out, and we got to do a better job. And hopefully tonight, in South Philly, the Sixers and Embiid will do a better job and just take care of business and polish off the Toronto Raptors, a very feisty team that really does kind of come down to, with all the injuries on both sides, a head coaching matchup between Doc Rivers and Nick Nurse. Doc had even said after that game, look, if it comes down to coaching, I like my chances. And up to this point, Doc has had the edge over Nick Nurse. But we know that Doc and some of his teams throughout the playoffs have failed to make some necessary adjustments throughout the course of a playoff series. Let's hope that that doesn't rear its ugly head. As for Embiid, it's really unfortunate. I mean, this guy can really never catch a break. He goes to Kansas after a fascinating start to his overall basketball career. Didn't even pick up a basketball until he was a teenager. Overlooked, goes to Kansas, balls out. Then he's out of the NCAA tournament because of a back injury. Gets drafted number 3 by Philly. Misses his first 2 years because of a plethora of injuries to his feet. And then he gets started in his NBA career, is awesome that rookie year, once again cut short because of injury. And from that point on, it seems as though every single year at the most inopportune time, Joel Embiid suffers some type of injury. And right now, when he's in the mix for MVP, he's playing the best basketball of his career, and I don't even think it's close. Hits that game winner, most iconic moment of his career, one of the more iconic moments that we've seen in recent Sixers franchise history. During that game, of course, he goes down with a thumb injury that is going to require surgery. So that's the latest on Joel Embiid. Next up on the show, cannot wait for myself to go in and tee off on Ben Simmons and then relay what other people like Reggie Miller and Stephen A. Smith are saying about Big Baby Ben. We'll get to that here in just a few moments, so buckle in and buckle up. But first, if you want to bet on the Sixers game tonight, Game 5 against the Raptors, you can do so thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. The Sixers have been favorites in every one of these games so far, and what's interesting is because of some of the injury issues with both teams, There is actually not a line available right now as of this recording at 10:41 Central Time as we come to you from the Chat Sports Studios in Dallas, Texas. But either way, if you want to bet on tonight's game, chatsports.com/bet, enter the promo code CHAT125 for a 125% deposit bonus. Since the lines aren't out, I want to hear from you in the comment section as to who you think is going to be victorious tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern. Type TOR for the Raptors, PHI for the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm going with Philly. Next up on the show, Ben Simmons is getting shredded by the national media. And it's funny because there was all that conversation about Ben Simmons dealing with some of these mental health issues, which he actually kind of turned down himself. And everybody was saying Philadelphia is an awful fan base. I can't believe that they're treating Ben Simmons like this. No wonder he wants out. You know that we were approaching Ben Simmons in this way because we know what this cat is all about, and we know that what Stephen A. Smith said about Big Baby Ben isn't surprising to us at all because we've been watching this transpire over the last couple of years. Let's get to what Stephen A. had to say about Simmons, now out for Game 4, then what Reggie Miller had to say. And I don't think this comes down to boomers kind of just clashing with millennials. This is all facts right here. So Stephen A. on NBA Countdown yesterday during the thick of the NBA playoff slate on Sunday said this about Ben Simmons after Adrian Wojnarowski had reported that he's not going to play in Game 4 after he was originally supposed to because he woke up with back soreness. Stephen A., I feel bad for anybody who was his teammate. He quit on LSU, he quit on the Philadelphia 76ers, and now he ain't showing up for the Brooklyn Nets. We can point to all the excuses, all the rationale behind it that we want to. I do recall, despite him not playing, he still filed a grievance to collect $20 million that he has not earned. This is one of the most pathetic situations I've ever seen in my life. He ain't going to war. He ain't going into the octagon. He's not going into the boxing ring. It's pulling teeth to get this man to play basketball. It's pathetic. It's sad. And at the end of the day, when the NBA gets in the collective bargaining table and they go after the players in terms of a pay-for-play stipulation in the CBA, it's going to be called the Ben Simmons rule. Now, if you were on Twitter yesterday, man, the takes were certainly getting fired, and I thought there was reasons behind everybody saying this about Simmons because it's all true. Reggie Miller saying this, come on, man, out for Game 4 when it was rumored you were going to make your debut. This dude has zero competitive fire. As small a chance as the Nets have to come back in this series, you still have KD and Kyrie. You need to just win one game, and you need to take it from there. #ManUp. Now, for the national media watching, and if you're not a Sixers fan, and if you're not familiar with this situation, this Ben Simmons situation that's playing out before our very eyes right now is everything that we've always known about Big Baby Ben. This guy has no dog. This guy has no competitive fire. And since getting drafted number 1 overall out of LSU in 2016, he has had countless opportunities to work on his flaws, work on his weaknesses, work on his offensive game to become a great player. You look at how some of the great players in the NBA have improved over time, who came into the league raw, kind of like Ben Simmons, Giannis, Jaylen Brown. Some of these other players in the thick of this playoff slate right now have put in so much work getting into the lab to improve their offensive arsenal and their all-around games to go from being a good player to a great player. And forever, Ben Simmons has been satisfied with being a good player. And for a long time, Philadelphia has had this man's back. They saw the potential that he had as possibly, if he was able to develop a jump shot, the next LeBron James. But he never did the necessary things to take those steps to go from being a good player to an elite player. And of course, he improved on the defensive side of the ball, but just because of effort. And now, after quitting on LSU, after quitting on the 76ers, he sees the Brooklyn Nets go down 3-0, and all he cares about is hitting up his stylist, looking good on the sideline so that he can be the sore thumb sticking out on the broadcast, so all the attention goes his way when he's not even playing any of these games because he's shown no fight. He's shown no toughness. He's shown no mental fortitude to get out to the floor and be a warrior, get into the boxing ring. Ben Simmons is not a guy who you want in the foxhole with you, and now everybody else is seeing what the Sixers fans have seen over the last several years. We had this man's back, and now you can't defend him anymore because it is indefensible. If this Ben situation has you chuckling, get into the comment section and just type LOL. I'm not saying chucking like Charles Barkley, man, but you know what Charles Barkley would say.
Ben Simmons, come on, man. Absolutely ridiculous. This guy has no toughness. This guy has no fire.
Producer Jeremy Chugs, he likes the impersonation. He's giving me an LOL behind the scenes. You might be able to hear him laughing right now. Spam LOL if this Ben Simmons situation has you chuckling or chucking like Charles Barkley. All right, before we hop on out of here, some really important news for Game 5 tonight for Toronto. Fred VanVleet, who has been battling a knee injury for a little while, left Game 4 early, all because of a hip pointer, ripped his jersey, very frustrated, easy to see why. I like that competitive fire. Ben Simmons would never. He's going to be out for Game 5 tonight against the Sixers because of that hip pointer. Big loss for the Toronto Raptors. We're talking about a really good guard who's been cold so far in this series, but any given night is due to go off for 20 to 30 points. We'll see how Toronto does counter not having Fred VanVleet. Before we get out of here, want to get your predictions in once more. TOR for the Raptors, PHI for the Sixers. Can the Sixers polish off Toronto in 5 games tonight at the Wells Fargo Center? We'll see you get those votes in, get those predictions in, and thanks for watching today's show.